What was your best drunken experience? Drove to a college party not planning to drink but ended up getting trashed. I wasn't going to drive and I didn't have enough money for a cab 72 miles back home. So I started walking when a freight train was creeping by. I ran alongside, hopped on one of the cars and rode it pretty close to home. A couple of blocks away I ducked and rolled at a crossing and tore my crap up. Cop was sitting at the crossing and saw and laughed. He told me he was glad I wasn't driving but to not do that again. He drove me the rest of the way home. Dude, you should wear a GoPro around when you drink. I got super drunk and came home to my house through the back door. I knew I was gonna get sloshed so I got extra Chinese food and left it in the fridge. Sober me is much more considerate than drunk me. I opened the fridge and there was no Chinese food so I yelled to my girlfriend, where the frick is my Chinese food? Anyway, some random dude came rushing down the stairs. Holy crap, there's a robber in my house. He started screaming something and I was like, get the frick out of my house, so we kind of went to grab each other for a bit. And then someone turned the lights on. Then I heard a child screaming from upstairs. But I don't have a child. Turned around and my girlfriend was at the back door. I was in my neighbor's house drunk at 3 AM and woke up his newborn twins. Where we live the houses are close together, look the same, and we'd only moved in a while ago. And I was hammered. Not best experience but definitely best story, haha. On a week-long 3,000-mile road trip, a buddy and I stopped in Chicago for a couple of days. We ended up helping to set up a block party and met all kinds of interesting people. I was drinking all day and was completely hammered when I met the girl of my dreams. She was beautiful, smart, and she actually talked to me. She was there to perform as a fire spinner, which was her job. We hit it off and she invited me back to her place where she gave me a private fire spinning performance in her yard, and we ended up showering together. Afterward we lied in her bed and ended up having sex before I went back to the party at 4 AM. By 6 AM we were on the road to Niagara Falls. I haven't seen or talked to this girl since, but I am convinced that this was one of the most romantic and beautiful nights of my life. I went to the bowling alley to drop off a bag of blood for my friend. They ended up not showing up, but it was cool because I ran into some other friends who were bowling and bought the bag off me. It was ladies' night so we were all drinking draft beer. I was standing in line at the bar when a man approached me who looked like Lil Wayne. I was getting tipsy so I yelled this at him. He was very nice however and offered to buy me a drink. I laughed and told him it was ladies' night, but he counter-offered to buy me a good drink so I ordered a Long Island. I spoke with him for a bit. As we were talking there was a rush of people heading towards the lobby, signing papers at the front desk. Drunk me was excited about signing things so I went there too. Turns out it was a waiver for a hot wing eating competition. I never have been in such an event so I signed up. Lil Wayne bought me a second Long Island. I was hammered. Next thing I know they call us up for the wing eating competition. My friends warned me that they tried and failed. Also that the shoots the next day were the most unholy lava torture on their anus. I was pretty excited to say the least. I go up there and out of the dozens of people I saw sign up, only 2 were there and they were both big guys. Rules were simple, eat the 3 wings in front of you then down the milk. When they put the wings in front of me, my eyes watered from the spice radiating off them. 3 of the thickest, wettest, most spicy chicken legs I have ever seen. My strategy was to just not taste it and devour Satan-style KFC. When the cook called out go, I went at these wings like an animal. People were cheering me on. There was no time to eat like a lady. The sauce that was on my lips and face felt like vapor rub on my skin. There are photos being taken of me ripping the spicy flesh off all the bones, downing the milk, then finally slowing down to realizing that the fellas beside me never finished their first wing. One was in tears because of how spicy the wings were. The other gave up after 1 bite. I got the most coupons I have ever received in my life. There were several free bowling passes, free pizza, free wings. I made the mistake of accidentally touching near my eye. The spice had me in the bathroom for 15 minutes trying to flush out the heat so I could see. Women came in to cheer me on. I knew I should have puked. I wanted to when I got home but didn't, unfortunately. I went to work the next day with the sensation of free falling in the pit of my stomach that lasted all day. The shoots though, not too bad. It was lovely weather and I was drunk as frick. sitting outside a museum on the steps with my best friend. I had a beer in one hand and a doner kebab in the other. I was watching a wonderful display, a show of absolute beauty. It was mesmerizing. Two big fat scantily clad fricking heifers were punching frick out of each other over some junky guy. I fricking love Glasgow. That was beautiful. I don't remember. Not the best all time, but the best of 2013, depending on how you look at it. An old classmate of mine from college called me up for old time's sake and asked if I had any plans that night. I did, but since I had a crush on this girl for a long time I said I was free. I took an extra long shower that night, sprayed some of my sexy time cologne on, and met up with her and two of her other girlfriends. Fast forward through all the typical routines of drinking, bar hopping, incoherent conversations over cigarettes outside the venue, and scavenging the city for food at 2:30 am. We take a cab to her apartment because I'm not exactly buzzed but at the same time too ducking frunk to drive. Drink responsibly. Reddit. This is when the story really begins. Somehow, the conversation ends up being about how unsatisfied my crush is about her breast size. I'd say she was about a high B. Delicious. But she didn't think so. She jokingly asks me to buy her breast implants. And this is what I said, 90% word for word, as best as my drunk brain could remember. Oh, how are you sure about that? Let's put aside whether or not you actually need them. You want me to buy you bigger boobs? Think about that. In a way, I'd be putting something I purchased into your body. Does my property, the silicone bags, become yours? Or does it stay mine? Let's say that it stays mine. Your boobies become my personal belonging. I could do anything to them at any time I desire. At this point of the story, I close my eyes and ruminate even further upon the thought of owning her boobies. Okay, I'll buy it for you. On one condition. I want to inspect them thoroughly before you get the surgery. I want to remember your natural boobies the way they were before all of this. Keep in mind the other two girls were still in the cab. I open my eyes and I see everyone just giving me the deer in the headlights look. Even the cab driver has turned around and is looking at me in disbelief. There is an awkward 4-second silence that, looking back on it now, was the longest pause in my life. Then all three of the girls start laughing, and my soul breathes a sigh of relief and joins them in the chuckling. We get to her apartment and crack open some Sam Adams summer ales. The other two girls pass out around 4 am in the living room. I'm about to do the same, when suddenly it happens. She shakes my shoulder and tells me she's ready for her boobie inspection. Excellent recovery. Got out with friends 2 months ago. We went in 3 or 4 clubs, drinking beers and cocktails, watching bands playing darts and snooker. I was hammered, had sipped like 2 liters of beer already. Then at around midnight I said frick it, let's go to the beach. Took a champagne bottle I got offered earlier on, and we got there. A sober friend got us there. Full moon, nobody around, just drinking champagne and swimming like it's the last time. Got to see some fluorescent fish jumping everywhere. I thought I was in frickin' Life of Pi. Blown away drunk and me swimming. Best feeling ever. Nobody around except that shark. Lucky he just felt like watching. Delirium Cafe, Brussels, Belgium. Traveling from Lithuania back home with a 1-day layover from the World Bench Press Championships, my teammate and I, both beer lovers, decided to spend our entire evening there. We ended up running into a group of German-American political workers on a joint op for NATO. Once they found out we were on the US powerlifting team, they went nuts. We did not pay for a beer the rest of the night and partied all evening. Eventually Bohemian Rhapsody came on the stereo and everyone in the Delirium Cafe sang it and danced arm in arm. It was like something out of a movie. Swedes, French, Germans, Australians, Swiss, and some guy from East LA were among the people we met. A true melting pot from all over the world. Here is where it gets interesting. I myself am near blackout from all the tripels and ends beers on tap. My buddy and I meet Andrew from Philadelphia. This wiry little Asian fella who latched on to use once everyone started hoarding around us. Andrew wanted to get us fricked up on absinthe, so naturally we trusted him and went next door to shoot some of the magical green stuff. I was already weary of shooting this with some guy we just met, but drunk brain said fugit. We do it and it just pushes us right over the edge and my partner and I both go cross-eyed. I immediately form an exit strategy because I was afraid of blacking out and forgetting where our hotel was. On our way out, some lovely lady from Portugal grabs me and we dance between the delirium and the absinthe bar. We lock eyes, hand in hand. She giggles and too drunk to say or do anything I stumble off with Andrew the Asian and my large buddy in what I believe to be the right direction of our hotel. And we Thesian wasn't done. This guy wanted to rage and I just wanted to get home and not die in Brussels. After drunkenly snapping a plethora of pictures of walls, the street, garbage cans, and the sky, we get a photo with Andrea Thesian and part ways. I manage to navigate us back to our hotel and we do the happy dance at an intersection with people laughing. At this time it is nearly 5 AM. We get to our hotel and a new concept to me. The door is locked but we get in with our key and there is a scary bald guy guarding the door who lets us in. My fattest wants to post to Facebook and the only Wi-Fi available is downstairs. Imagine the scariest Russian guy possible, and this is that guy. He encourages us to frick off from the lobby and we do very quickly, but not before I eat crap on some stairs then pose for a picture on a statue. My buddy passes out face down on the floor because he falls off the bed and I rest peacefully. Happy to have been a superstar at the delirium and sang and danced with randoms from all over the world. And most of all happy to have survived Ajian Andrew and his absinthe wishes. XGF got engaged to some high-flying broker. Hadn't heard from her in like 10 years, so was bit strange getting an invite to the wedding in a French castle, all expenses paid. Not one to turn down a free P-up and the opportunity to show my ex what she could have won. I spent the night of the reception slurring stories of how I had first-hand experience that the bride technically shouldn't be wearing white to anyone that would listen, whilst spilling wine over my cheap suit. By midnight most of the crowd, who were lucky enough to hear me sing Greased Lightning on the karaoke machine, had gone back to their rooms, no doubt realizing that everything following that delightful experience would pale in comparison. Taught from a young age never to be a quitter, I helped myself to a couple more free pints then set off around the castle grounds in search of like-minded people. Fast forward to 4:30 AM. The bride, groom and 50 or so angry guests in their dressing gowns have assembled in the courtyard, staring at the reason why they have been rudely awoken. Before them is a drunken idiot doing donuts in a golf cart whilst screaming "Take that, never forget" at the top of his lungs. Gasps arise from the crowd as the cart clips one of the bridal party's cars. The disgruntled father of the bride rushes towards the drunken hero with a look on his face normally seen in prison shower rooms. In an attempt to get out of his way, the driver flips the golf cart over and face plants into the gravelly floor. The next morning I awake in my room, hungover, shirt ripped to shreds and blood all over the bedsheets. Had to take an awkward hour-long bus ride back to the airport with all the pee-off guests and now have a 5 inches scar on both my elbows to commemorate the joyous occasion. You've been visited by the Good Sleep Kitter. Upvote within the next 3 seconds and you will be blessed with cozy and restful sleeps. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.